Oh, we're having fun. Looks like everybody's having fun. We got to get the show going, folks. Good evening and welcome to our Gold and Silver Circle induction. I'm Greg Thies. I'm the president of the Northwest chapter here of National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. I do want to take a moment to thank our chairs of the Circles event, Robin Botanic, Sarah Givens, and of course their committee and the folks that helped go through all the marvelous and wonderful people we have here tonight. You don't have to listen to me all night. I'm going to bring up your MC, your master of ceremonies for this evening, a Silver Circle member herself, Roberta Romero.
Oh, thank you, Greg, and welcome, everyone, to the Northwest chapter of the National Association of Television Arts and Sciences. It's my pleasure to welcome you here for the Silver Circle and Gold Circle Awards ceremony. So about 6 months ago, NATAS Northwest reached out to me and asked me if I could have some opening remarks for this evening. So last night at 11 p.m., as I was writing, I was thinking about the journalists in this room and who are going to be receiving these awards. And dare I say, I hope they feel comfortable saying this, but we're journalists of a certain age. We're the journalists who started on typewriters, Thomas Guide maps, two-way radios. And we're also the journalists who knows what a dial-up modem is. A brick cell phone to an iPhone, artificial intelligence now. We all deserve awards. You think those whippersnappers could adapt that hard and fast? They got it easy, using the internet to do research. Come on. That's not what we did. They got it easy, I tell you. So I was gonna say tonight we're gonna honor 9 brilliant adapters and leaders for their outstanding contributions to both the television industry and their communities at large. They make an impact in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. The Silver Circle for NATAS Northwest was established in 1991 as an honor society of exceptional individuals who have served in the television industry for 25 years or more in roles as journalists, performers, hosts, technical staff, as well as administration, advertising, promotion, and public relations. In addition to setting a high standard for work within our industry, Circle inductees are also recognized for giving back to the community. This includes service to the television broadcasting industry. It includes mentoring those in this business, pursuing careers in broadcasting, service to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and again, just their general contributions to the community at large. The Gold Circle Award recognized similar individuals who've served in an exemplary fashion for a minimum of 50 years. 50 years. We have 9 inductees to honor tonight, 1 gold and 8 silver. To keep it simple, we're going to be going in alphabetical order, except for one. We're going to have someone come up a little earlier. But just so you know how it's going to work, honorees, after your video shows, please make your way to the stage before you take the mic. So, we are going to begin. I like to sit up a little straighter when I say this woman's name. With our Gold Circle, Diane Bevans.
She's a people person. Whether it was family or friends or whatever. She likes people, and people like her. We moved here from Massachusetts in 1970. It was hard to find work because that was the year that Boeing was way down. She got a job working for a speed reading school, and then the person who was running the school worked with Marion Simpson, who was the administrator at that time for NATAS. She had lots of extra things at any time to do, so Diane would work with her. After a while, people would call the office and Marion would answer the phone. They'd say, "Can I talk to Diane?" In 1992, the board hired Diane to be the administrator of the chapter.
Diane, she was a hard worker. Yeah, she had a way of doing it because the Emmys are complicated. There's a lot of stuff there.
She ran the show from the era of VHS and Beta and 3/4-inch tapes, moving on into DVDs, and then now in our digital era. She knows the ins and outs of the system better than anybody else in the Academy. She and her team are so dedicated to the NATAS Northwest chapter that in the lean years, she and her staff would hold back their pay until the entry money came in. She wanted to make sure that the chapter would survive.
When I first took over as president of the National Academy, colleagues gave me names of people to call to find out how things work. And then they gave me Diane's name to find out how they should.
Diane is a champion. She's a force when it comes to making sure that the Emmy Awards locally in the Northwest, also across the country at all of the chapters, are strongly represented.
I remember my first national meeting. I was so surprised when I realized that Diane was coordinating the travel for everyone coming from across the country, booking the meeting rooms, planning the menu. And this isn't work she's getting paid for. This is her, once again, going above and beyond and helping out where needed.
When you see Diane, you just know everything's going to be great. And you know how hard she worked to get us all to that point.
I think my biggest story that I like to tell, when she had her first bout with breast cancer, so she went to the doctor. They wanted to do surgery. And they said, but we can wait. And she said, oh no. She says, if you can do it now, let's do it now, because I won't have time after the holidays. That's any time. Surgery was on Friday. She came home from the hospital on Saturday. Sunday was Christmas Day. And then Tuesday, she was back at work.
It is absolutely extraordinary that she has been with our organization for 50 years.
It's 50 years of extending the contest deadline because it rained too much, or it snowed too much, and nobody could get their entries in on time.
I think you need to get it. You deserve it.
You have given your heart and soul to this organization and to our industry, and we're all better off for it.
This is an honor for you that's well-deserved. Thank you, Diane, for your friendship, and congratulations.
Diane is a friend. I cherish her, I honor her. You are amazing. Congratulations.
You truly have impacted my life. I've learned so much from you, and I can't wait to see you be inducted into the Gold Circle.
Diane, congratulations on your induction and for everything that follows.
Diane, job well done.
The Gold Circle is really brighter now because Diane is in it. And you know, I'd say a lot more, but I gotta go because Diane has me judging 2 more panels and I gotta get to work. But to Diane, congratulations and thank you.
I love you all. As I mentioned, Diane is our only Gold Circle recipient of the evening. She has devoted 50 years to the television broadcast industry. She devoted those 50 years to one single organization. She's probably known to most of you in this room as Executive Director of the Northwest Chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. She interacts with nearly everyone in the Academy's Northwest region, especially during the annual call for entries. We all know that one. And it isn't only our region that Diane influences. She's also the chair of the executive directors of all the NATAS chapters across the country, organizing their annual meetings and ensuring things run smoothly. Diane's compassion, her patience, her sense of humor have helped guide current and former board members for decades. Her dedication, astounding memory for details are why the awards process runs so well. She ensures each winner stands out and is recognized for their contributions to this industry. And she actually helped start the NATAS Northwest Gold and Silver Circle 33 years ago. So yes, it's fitting we recognize her own contributions to the industry by welcoming her to this esteemed circle. Diane's plaque reads, "For raising the bar on excellence with your contagious passion for people and for the Northwest Emmy Awards, inspiring generations of industry professionals, your leadership, compassion, and diligence has made a lasting impact that will last a lifetime, not only for the organization, but for all you have coached, mentored, and touched along the way." Please welcome Diane Bevans.
everybody, sit down. We got to get this show going. There's a lot of others ahead beyond me. Each of us, I'm sure, has a list a mile long of thank yous. You see this lady sitting over here? She told me 3 minutes. Anybody who's ever called me up on the phone knows that's impossible. Well, we'll give it a try here. I've had the privilege to work with this chapter when entries came in by the ton, such as 3/4 beta tapes, which had to be driven to the office to be delivered by 5 p.m., which meant Diane had to wait for those stations to finally make it in, sometimes at 7, 8, 9. And then we had to sort those entries. I don't know if Jamie made it here yet, but I know Scott is here, and he's probably chuckling right now because he was in there helping set up these piles and piles of tapes all over the office. Then we had to package them, ship them. Those chapters had to form pizza parties and sandwiches to judge those entries. Then they had to file those affidavits and send them back. It was a lot of work. But can you believe we found this funny little thing called upload? Oh, my goodness, did that change how things were done. People could actually upload their videos. They didn't have to deliver them. And now we've come a long way. So at this point, we only need to have them judged all online. It makes it very, very simple, and it allows us to judge at more than one chapter, so we're not dealing with a bias-based area. The Circle Awards. Arthur J. Pattison was the first recipient of the Northwest chapter, and he was a wonderful person. He set the benchmark for the level of excellence that we strive for. I look around the room tonight and I do see a number of past silver inductees, and I know they are superstars. Each one of the inductees tonight are superstars. As an honoree, be sure you strut your stuff. And the rest of you in this room, don't forget to recognize them for that. I can't step off this podium without stating the value of NATAS Northwest. Our support of students through the Student Production Awards, scholarship program, recognition of community service from our broadcast community. We are the largest chapter in area in the nation with our 5 states. Peer judging is extremely crucial, and it gives panelists an opportunity to see firsthand what others view as their Emmy Award-winning work. When the call comes to judge, raise your hand. I'll help if you really need some assistance, but it's really not hard. All right, guys, now it's time to cry. First of all, let me introduce you to my security blanket here. This is Anna, my granddaughter. She's gonna help me hold a strong voice here, I hope. There are really many to thank, starting with this board. For once, and by the way, only once, I'm honored they didn't listen. And although it means little to most in this room, I need to thank some of my other clients. Most of you don't know, but I work with several different professional associations, and they all know when it's Emmy season, they're on the back shelf. Tina is here in the room, Tina Rebsamen, who is an extension of me. I thank my brothers, Jerry and Mike, sisters Julie and Maureen, as well as 4 who have already left us. I come from a family of 9, and I thank their families. I can't forget aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. As I said, yeah, I come from a large family. Uh-oh, Robin's, I can feel her breathing down my neck. My grandson Hunter would say, look, she's got the stink eye. I need to thank the executive directors of the other 18 chapters. We work together as sisters and brothers. We are a force and the backbone of every chapter. My children, Vince and his wonderful wife, Christy, who suddenly showed up. That's why I had to edit this at the last minute. I didn't expect them. Anna and Hunter. Grandma loves you. Brother, and one of my best friends, my daughter Danielle, who also suddenly showed up. The best son-in-law anyone could ever ask for, Ted. And most importantly, my mom. I almost did it.
Diane is a force of nature.
Diane is fierce, politely fierce.
Diane is unflappable.
Diane is dedicated.
Diane is kind and tenacious.
Diane is an absolute badass, but with the sweetest smile you've ever seen.
The beginning.
Diane actually started at King as a grip, which means she was running live shots and running audio for some of the best TV news people in the country, and she soaked it up.
She moved on to Eugene, Portland, and Sacramento, then returned home as a photojournalist.
I met Diane here at King because she was one of the only female photographers, I think, in the business, trailblazing a way for women to be photojournalists before women were really doing it.
It was my first story with Diane in 1992. We did a story about how there were no public bathrooms in downtown Seattle. So we came to this alley, and Diane says, "Look!" And I swear, it was a pile of human poop. Then I see she puts the camera down. She's flat out on her belly, getting a real artsy look at this poop. And then I'm thinking, this woman is crazy, like crazy good.
Diane worked every possible shift, including overnights, alone.
We have been in some really dicey situations together. We covered WTO together, and we're in the middle of those riots. She and I are probably, 5'1" and 5'3" on a good day. She did not back down. We had each other's back. I always felt like she was looking out for me, my safety, my best interest in the pursuit of getting that story.
For more than 20 years, Diane covered the region's biggest news events. Then in 2015, she joined Evening to tell stories that bring joy.
Diane is such an amazing shooter. You can look at her raw tape. It's like taking a master class in storytelling.
Diane's favorite interview question is, "What's in your heart?" And it always works for her.
How amazing is that? Like, this is my life.
She's won 3 Emmys for her photo essays.
Diane's just a natural. I mean, when she shoots, she can hear the smallest sound. She can get the tightest shot. She sees everything that's happening. She doesn't miss a thing.
Diane has the best eye in the business, but she also has one of the best hearts.
In late 2021, Diane faced down a scary chapter in her own story, a life-threatening medical diagnosis. But as always, Diane persevered. 6 months later, and against all odds, she was back at work and earning even more Emmy nominations.
She is a very strong person, not just physically, but in character. She still loves her job.
And we love her.
Congratulations, Diane. About time to see that you're recognized for all the wonderful work that you've done over the years.
And the industry and King 5 are so lucky to have you.
Congratulations, Diane. We love you so much.
Multi-Emmy Award winner Diane Lewis-Torre has been telling stories in the Pacific Northwest through the lens of a camera for almost 40 years. A truly remarkable career when you remember that today's gear is far from the gear that we started from, as we said earlier. She's really adapted. The sheer strength and tenacity to hone her craft made her a true trailblazer in the Northwest and the industry as a whole. She's made a mark on journalism and on the community, always leaving things better than she found them. She's a Meadow Rover at Mount Rainier, manages laundry and linen for her church, and is dedicated to empowering young women in extracurricular activities and youth sports. Diane's inscription reads, "For 37 years, You have shined a light on the truth, elevated positive stories, and been a trailblazer in photojournalism. Your endless curiosity and compassion have lifted your colleagues and community. Your work leaves behind a legacy of joy and hope. Please welcome Diane.
As most of you know, I'm always behind the camera, which is where I'm comfortable. But here it goes, rolling. What's in your heart about this work you do? That's the question I ask in interviews, and it always gets the best answer. And the answer becomes a central part of the story. My colleagues joke that they're gonna get me a t-shirt that reads, "What's in your heart?" And I would totally wear that t-shirt. Tonight, the tables are turned. I'm asking myself that question. What's in my heart about my career? It's gratitude, respect, hard work, and friendships. Gratitude towards NATAS Northwest for inducting me into the Silver Circle. I'm thankful to join the long tradition of exceptional journalists who received this honor. Thanks to Joyce Taylor for nominating me. You are a classy woman, and I admire your inspirational leadership at King. I'm thankful for all the smart and talented reporters who I've worked with throughout the years. You know who you are. Thanks to everyone at King 5 Evening and New Day. You make work fun. It means so much to me that we care for each other like family. Like the time when I was recovering from massive surgery and you came to my doorstep to sing Christmas carols, complete with tambourine, guitar, and cookies. To Mark Marash, I'm proud to call you my boss and friend. You are brilliant. Thank you. And thank you also for making that video with Jared Porter and Kim Holcomb. It took time and effort. To Diana Wilmar and George Stark, I've always admired your style of shooting and editing. You have been true mentors to me. To Randy Eng, your creativity and dedication to your craft is inspiring to me, and I will treasure our 32-year friendship always. And it's time for a rematch in ping pong. To Jose Cedeno, your positive attitude is contagious. I'm glad we are desk mates. To all the great photogs I've worked with throughout the years, it's been an honor. I have learned something different from each of you. To my husband, Scott, and my daughters, Evelyn and Maria, thanks for putting up with some crazy hours and for supporting me in my work. To my parents, who have been married for 66 years. You are my biggest fans. You watch every night. You can even tell when I've shot a story by my love of sequences, nat sound, and close-ups. It means the world to me that you are here. It's a big deal. Early on, I was the only female videographer in the newsroom. And when I'd go out on a story, I'd hear these words at least twice a day or twice a week for 37 years. What's a little gal like you carrying a big heavy camera like that? Well, I would just smile and say, well, I'm working, and oh, by the way, could you carry my tripod? And oh, and could you get the door for me too, please? Thank you. Thank you. But the real answer to that question that I heard 4,000 times, yes, I did the math, is I do it for the stories. I love telling stories. I love seeing things that few people get to see. I love hitting the road with good tunes and great conversation. I'm hardwired to meet new people and go someplace new every day. Places like the Canadian Rockies to shoot caribou captures, the Cliffs of Moher, the handover in Hong Kong, getting stuck in the crater of Mount St. Helens and getting frostbite on my hands and toes. Or a women's correctional facility to feature a prison artist who listens to the inmates and paints their portrait to give them hope. I had many visits to the Mariners' locker room. I've seen Ken Griffey Jr. naked. Yeah, In fact, I have shot many stories with Griffey, and he would always call me Sweet Cheeks. And, I'd give him a little pass with that comment because he's a Hall of Famer, and I knew he was referring to my cherubic face. I've captured spectacular elation and profound sadness. I love that the stories I do now show the best of humankind. My heart is filled when I get to have coffee or go hiking with my colleagues past and present. I've always believed in telling them what they mean to me. And tonight I invite all of you to do something. When you get home and the night is still, think about the people you've admired and pick one person and call them this weekend and tell them what's in your heart. Then take it one step further and call me or text me or find me in the King building and tell me who you called and what you said. Because it will be a really cool ripple effect, because I always love a good story, especially one from the heart.
Dee Kacheri is an amazing mentor, coach, creator, and administrator, and after a successful 35-year career with KTVF, this honor is well-deserved.
Anybody who has worked with DeeDee would agree that she is one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet.
Works tirelessly. One of the things I was really just appreciated what she did for the station.
When she would come in the door, it wouldn't be a question of what we were going to do. It was, let's get started right away.
She has a true passion for this industry and our stations in this market.
She understood my clients better than I did. DeeDee knew exactly what I wanted before I even told her.
DeeDee's integrity, as well as her incredible leadership skills, propelled her stations to serve the Fairbanks community at the highest level.
She would focus on trying to make sure that people did communicate and understand what was happening so we could all be on the same page advancing those goals.
Top of the list of ones that I've ever had the privilege of working with during my career of over 55 years.
She spares no details. She works to ensure that everybody is on the same page.
She brought an honesty and a transparency, I guess, to all of those discussions.
Not only did DeeDee play a critical and well-respected role as a broadcaster, she poured her heart and skill into many organizations within the Fairbanks community.
Agencies and charities, just like the Food Bank and United Way. And
she represents so many different facets of our community. She has served on the board of the Alaska Broadcasters Association.
She brought that same level of deliberation that I always felt from her as a manager here.
DeeDee also founded one of our initiatives, which is our Broadcast Academy. Kids come in and learn about broadcasting.
It helped spawn a lot of different kids that later on decided to come over here and see if they could also continue their career toward broadcasting.
Although retired, DeeDee's influence and presence can be felt in every department, even today.
Now I'm gonna cry. DeeDee is definitely a mentor to me. I'm so grateful for the amount of time and effort and advice.
Absolutely no question that this is a well-deserved honor, and I couldn't be happier for her.
She 100% deserves it.
Congratulations, DeeDee. I am so excited for you and so happy. My honor to have worked with you and been your friend.
Work hard, embrace the change, and have some fun in what you do. Thank you.
Dee Kacheri, like that. She represents Fairbanks, Alaska through and through. After graduating from the University of Alaska Fairbanks, she embarked on a 35-year career with KTVF starting in 1989. During that time, DeeDee mentored up-and-coming journalists, sales executives, station support staff, and clients. She held many roles at KTVF, running the gamut from account executive and general manager. Recently retired, lucky, she finished as the station's general sales manager. Nonprofit service has always been important to DeeDee and fostered relationships with many organizations, including the United Way, Chamber of Commerce, Special Olympics, the Fairbanks Downtown Association, and many more. DeeDee's dedication to broadcasting has helped KTVF become the most trusted and watched TV station in interior Alaska. She also served on the Alaska Broadcasters Association Board and was inducted into the Alaska Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2020. Now, let's welcome her into the Silver Circle. And DeeDee's inscription, your inscription reads, for 35 years of excellence at KTVF, for inspiring us to serve the golden heart of Alaska with tenacity, dedication, and loyalty. Your unwavering leadership has helped journalists find their voices, local businesses grow in their success, and a community become stronger. Thank you for dedicating your entire career to KTVF Channel 11.
Well, thank you to NATAS Northwest Chapter. I am so honored to have been nominated for the award, and I believe the first Silver Circle Award recipient from Fairbanks. So, bringing it home. So I need to recognize some of the people that have been a part of my life and career, and I have to start with my parents. You know, my dad passed away a year after I graduated college and right before I started in radio. But he was undoubtedly the most influential in my career. See, I'm a PK. Anybody know what that is? Preacher's kid? So I'm a preacher's kid, so I grew up in the church and saw firsthand what it meant to give and serve a greater good. He was an inspirational leader and amazingly creative, and I know I got some of that gene passed along to me. As a kid, I was involved in church functions, MDA carnivals, spook houses, and of course, I sold Girl Scout cookies. Little did I realize this was my start in event planning, promotions, and sales. As for my mom, well, she was the major reason I moved to Alaska. Our family was living in Detroit, Michigan. My brother had just been stationed in the Air Force, and I was getting ready to go off to college. So off to UAF I went to study journalism broadcasting, because as a senior in high school, I had a class in broadcast production and thoroughly enjoyed it. Truth be told, I remember being in college, watching the local TV stations and saying, I'm never going to work for those stations. I'm a big city kid. No way. 35 years later, and I'm standing up getting this award. Funny how life works out. The first owner of KTVF was Augie Hebert, and he was a Gold Circle Award recipient. Back then, we referred to the station as Northern Television School of Broadcasting. We were market 206 at the time. We've moved up to 203 since then. We hired most of our reporters right out of college, even high school. They'd give us a year or two, and if we were lucky, then they'd move on to a larger market and a bigger paycheck. Last year, when I was in Washington, D.C. for NAB leadership, I ran into a former reporter. He got a start at KTVF. He worked his way up the ladder to become the vice president of news for his company, but fondly remembered his start on the Fairbanks Evening News. Another started as a production assistant while still a student at North Pole High School, worked onto our morning anchor slot, onto KTUU in Anchorage before making a big move to CNN. It makes me proud to know we gave them fundamentals, training, and opportunities to grow. This is just one of the reasons we started the KTVF Broadcast Academy. Just like my exposure to TV in high school, we give students the opportunity behind the scenes and inspire them to pursue a career in broadcasting. And one of our very first students actually went to UAF to pursue a journalism degree because of her experience, and then came to work for us. So I learned very early on that your reputation and work ethic means everything in this industry. So I've tried to work hard for my station, my clients, be community-minded, and as a manager, set an example for my team. I always wanted to make sure our stations were involved in various events and partnered with local nonprofit organizations to help shine a spotlight on them. It's rewarding to see the positive impact our annual school supply drive, winter coat drive, toy and food drive have made. But an example of our impact that I'll never forget involves the American Heart Association. While attending the Grow Red luncheon, the speaker on stage started to tell her story of surviving a heart attack, and specifically how seeing a PSA on KTVF Channel 11 saved her life. What we do truly matters. I'm now 2 months into the retirement and was blessed to work for some great companies and great people along the way, employees, clients, and fellow broadcasters. One of my dearest was Larry Rohde. He started in radio when he was a teenager and became my mentor, showing me the ropes and how to really develop client relationships. And the biggest advice that he passed along to me, and I've passed along to everyone else, is that this isn't brain surgery. Celia Vissers, Mike Schultz, Shannon Fett were 3 other longtime coworkers who were great teammates, doing anything I asked of them. And about 10 years ago, KTU used Nancy Johnson, who made the trip special for me tonight, so thank you so much, Nancy. She is a Silver Circle girl herself, by the way. Encouraged me to get involved with the Alaska Broadcasters Association, and it was one of the best decisions I made. My involvement with ABA gave me a new sense of purpose and allowed me to work with so many dedicated colleagues across the state. However, one of the most challenging times in my career was our last ownership change to Gray Television. It included a merge between the 2 top stations in the market. I was a GM GSM, and so was my counterpart, Chris Fry. The decision was made for one of us to take on the GM duties and the other to become GSM. It was hard on both of us, but we were like-minded, and Chris treated me with the utmost respect as well as an equal. She knew I lived and breathed KTVF and allowed me to continue what I did best, so I'm very grateful to her for that. I want to thank my entire KTVF family, not just current, but so many that allowed me to lead them over the years, and so many station employees that have my back along the way. Speaking of family, I have to give a shout out to my younger sister, Chrissy, and her brother, and my brother-in-law, Joel. They both work in news and sports at WGN in Chicago, and I cannot tell you how many conversations we've had about the day-to-day industry challenges we face. It made me realize that even the big markets have the same issues as the small ones. Of course, in our small market, we had to be a little more resourceful to get things done, but she always could top me on stories and keep me sane during some trying situations. Some say I've been the heart and soul of KTVF. If that's true, then my heart and soul are my husband, Steve, and son, Vinny. Steve was an elementary phys ed teacher by day and a varsity basketball coach by night. His teams were always fundamentally sound and competitive. He worked hard and expected his players to do the same. He used the term shape, which is basically making everyone around you better. And so I've tried to use so many of his coaching philosophies in managing in my career. And Vinny, well, Vinny, you're the greatest love of my life. When he was just a year old, he was diagnosed with the rare genetic disorder, Williams syndrome. It was the worst day of my life, and selfishly, I thought that would be it for my career. But I had a great GM, Bill Wright, that allowed me the flexibility to take Vinny to doctor and therapy appointments as needed, and always welcomed him at the station. So Vinny literally grew up at KTVF, perched on an ottoman in my office. He watched the news regularly, told me to call the control room when a mistake aired, and if you, no lie, Mom, call the control room. And if you ask him, Wednesday was always my late night shift. Television is a huge window to his world, and because of it, he knows what is going on within the community and has a sense of belonging. Broadcasters, even if we're not brain surgeons, do an amazing job, and we make an incredible difference. So thanks to all of you that have and continue to do what you do.
I've only had one thing I wanted to do, and that was work in broadcasting.
There's a new rule banning keg parties on national forest land.
When I got into college,
Residents hope this will
I caught on to a lot of the technical things really quickly.
Ray was the kid that understood how everything worked. So it was like, do you know how the switcher works? No, ask Ray.
Originally wanted to be on camera, and I was very happy that that didn't happen, to be honest with you. I was very happy to be behind the camera. And so I started directing, live newscasts and doing promos and doing commercials and working on sports shows. And it was fun. I really, really enjoyed it. But after a while, you want to try something different. And I wanted to write. I wanted to go into the small towns. Those were the kind of stories I wanted to tell. Montana's a big, big state. And if I grew up near the border up in the far northeast corner, and when I would travel back and forth from going to school in Missoula back home, I would go by all these places and I'd say, golly, I want to see what's about there and why that road is called what it is, and who these people are who are driving their tractors down the highway. And
what do you do in small towns? But you try to get involved.
with Backroads of Montana, that's what we were able to do.
Home is where Montana is my home.
And then something took off and people liked it, and people would send in story ideas, and well, that's way too big for a story. Well, let's do a whole program on it. Let's do a half hour, let's do an hour on one thing.
It was 68 acres of heaven. It was gone in a matter of minutes.
This is his land, his home, but Montana will always be a close second.
People ask me why you go to Montana, and I say, peace and quiet.
You don't see me a lot. I'm Ray Ekness. I'm one of the producers.
We don't want those stories to go away, so we have to have folks that are telling those stories about great Montanans and just ordinary Montanans.
This University of Montana Radio Television Department production is made possible with support from...
I love the energy of the students. There's so many of them that cared so much about what they were doing and what they were learning and the stories they wanted to tell. And if I could help them tell those stories a little bit better and show them how much fun this business was, how much work this business was, and what you had to do to be successful in these jobs. I was lucky to be able to do that for 18 years. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And this is a great business. And don't take for granted that you get to do it, because not everybody gets to. There's also times you pull your hair out and laugh and cry, but in the end, it's a lot of fun.
Not everyone is deserving of being inducted into the Silver Circle, and each year, a new panel weighs the submissions, looking for who has gone above and beyond. And Ray Ekness stood out for this year's panel immediately. Ray devoted much of his 37-year career to Montana PBS, telling stories about and unique to that part of our region. His approach to storytelling has always been quiet, humble. Ray also knew how important it was to foster the next generation of journalists. He opened up the PBS studios to students every year and taught them the industry. During his time as a professor at his beloved University of Montana, Ray showed students how to create meaningful content while honing their journalistic instincts. Because of Ray's important work and mentorship, scores of producers, directors, reporters went on to tell stories around the country after getting their start in his classroom. Ray's inscription reads, "Decades of leadership have shown us that details matter. There's no job too small, and listeners can always hear a smile. Your storytelling legacy endures on the air, on the backroads of Montana, and through the generation of journalists you've gently guided." Please welcome Ray.
Thank you very much. When I was teaching at the University of Montana School of Journalism and Department of Radio Television, I told my students, or tried to tell my students, 3 things. Work hard, continue to learn, and surround yourself with good people. That comes from luck sometimes, but I hope they understood those lessons. I learned them from my family, working at the family grocery store in Northwest North Dakota, in Crosby, North Dakota. My brothers, my sister, my mom, and my dad. I know those lessons worked for me over the years. I showed up early, I stayed late. I never said no to any request to do something, even if it was sweeping the studio floor. I just wanted to be at the studio doing something. I wanted my students to see that I also directed and produced television programs and didn't just talk about it. I showed them many of my mistakes, hoping they wouldn't make the same ones. I wanted them to be serious about this work that they were doing, but I wanted them to have fun as well. I'm very proud that some of the people have gone on to big careers. Others have gone on to other careers outside of broadcasting, and that's okay. I'm very happy for what they become in their lives. And I'm happy that a few of them are here this evening, so thank you guys for being here. I am grateful that some of the finest people in this business were a part of my professional and personal life, and there are a lot. My professors believed in me and gave me confidence as I began my career. The commercial stations put up with my mistakes, but helped me grow. We had great teams at KACI-TV in Missoula, KTVQ in Billings, and KTVB in Boise. Those stations were, and continue to be, so devoted to informing, educating, and entertaining their viewers, and I learned so much from everyone there, and I thank them. Luckily, I was hired back at the University of Montana, where I was given a whole lot of freedom to continue to learn and evolve for the past 34 years. We created just about everything you can think of: programs, commercials, videos for the university, and so much more. I was able to do everything: direct, produce, shoot, write, edit, down to animation sometimes. And I loved it. I got to crisscross the greatest state in the union and tell stories of some of the best people, and I just loved every minute of it. I loved teaching audio and video production classes, and I was lucky to be surrounded by good colleagues like Joe Durso, Greg McDonald, Bill Knowles, and Ray Fanning, who I learned from every day. The University of Montana was very lucky to have Denise Dowling join the faculty. I learned so much from Denise that made me a better teacher, made me a better storyteller. We had a great partnership that led to so many great student productions, internships, awards, and eventually jobs for those students. I'm so proud that some of our graduates are nominated for Emmy Awards this year and have won many in the past, and we hope to add to that tomorrow night. And it was a great chance to work with a couple of former students, including Brianna McCabe, who did the video, thank you Brianna, and Anna Rao at Montana PBS Missoula. I'm thankful to our Montana PBS team and our partners in Bozeman, especially General Manager Aaron Pruitt, but the entire team in Bozeman. They have a great future ahead at Montana PBS, and I'm so happy for them. Finally, I'd like to thank 3 people, their colleagues, their friends, their brothers: John Twiggs, Gus Chambers, and William Marcus. I learned so much from each of them. I'm so thankful that we were brought together to travel the back roads of Montana and create so many other programs. Their creative energy and unbelievable storytelling ability pushed me forward and taught me and inspired me. I am a little further into retirement, 5 months, and I'm still open to learning new things, mostly on the golf course. I'm trying to work hard, but now it's mowing the lawn. And I've surrounded myself full-time with the best person, my wife, Patty. For many years, Patty allowed me to do what I needed to do in this business, and that was working nights, holidays, weekends, and everything else. She encouraged me to finish my master's degree, to transition to teaching full-time, and to stepping up to lead the teams at Montana Public Radio and Montana PBS. She gave me the confidence to think I could actually do these things. And she put up with me through all of it. So thank you, Patty. I love you very much. I loved teaching and producing television so much. It was so much fun, and I miss it every day. Thank you to the NATAS board, the Circles Committee, to my staff, colleagues, and friends who nominated me for this honor, and to the viewers who both loved and hated our programs. I'm truly honored to be in this esteemed company, and thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's Randy. You're probably wondering how someone can go from dropping their camera off the freeway to the Silver Circle. Well, just like everything in this business, there's a story. Hopefully, it'll all make sense by the end of this. It all started when Randy's parents took him to watch a live taping at King 5 in the late 70s.
On Seattle Tonight. The floor director goes, and I got to go behind the camera and do a zoom.
At 7 here on King 5.
Fast forward 10 years, and Randy answers a flyer for a student-run TV production group.
He was the producer of Studio K News. Even though we were peers, he just was so much more knowledgeable than most of us, and he really sort of helped get us on our way into the industry.
It didn't take long for Randy to land his first job at KVAL 13 in Eugene, Oregon. His stay there was short, but his unplanned interview with the King 5 news director was even shorter.
He asked me 3 questions. What's your name? Where do you work? Want a job? Randy KVAL, yes.
That's right. At age 25, his second job was in Market 12. His first year at King was a little rough, though. First, he almost died. And that also happened.
There are certain things in TV you never forget.
Don't worry, Randy figured it out and went on to great things. Becoming the first full-time investigative videographer, he was even part of the first Get Jesse team.
Jesse Jones, King 5 News.
Gosh, it always turned out in a way that was really compelling, really interesting to watch.
While these stories were impactful to the community, one particular story changed his life.
I did this story on this woman who takes pictures of dying or even dead newborns. And Lynette goes,
You're supposed to give more than you take.
That changed me.
Over the past 15 plus years, Randy's dedication and passion to help and support philanthropic and nonprofit organizations resulted in him helping to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars.
He is so kind and giving. I have never heard him say no to a project he's been asked to volunteer on.
In 2015, Randy left King 5 for the Seattle channel, telling stories of underserved and underrepresented communities.
Randy came into the Seattle channel with a deep understanding of how to tell these stories, and his generosity of spirit and heart really make him a perfect match for us.
A little bit of luck, a lot of hard work, and of course, laughter. Thank you, Randy, for your dedication to journalism and community, and welcome to the Silver Circle. Randy Ang has spent his entire 30-plus year career in the Pacific Northwest. This has included his 22 years at King and nearly a decade at the Seattle channel. In that time, he received 13 Emmy Awards, along with numerous honors, NPPA and NATOA awards. Randy's focus is content that gives a voice to underserved and underrepresented communities, and he has volunteered his time with more than a dozen nonprofits. NATAS Northwest is honored to have Randy on the Diversity Committee, introducing the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion category for our Emmy Awards. And Randy's inscription reads, "Your dedication to storytelling and community is inspiring. Your thoughtful, informative stories shed light on important issues and marginalized voices. Thank you for shining a light on people of color and their contributions to our world. You make a difference, Randy. And you live the motto, give more than you take." Well done, friend.
Wow, I hate being up here. Okay. Hi. Thank you, NATAS Northwest and the nomination committee for bestowing this amazing honor, and Nicole, wherever you are, Nicole Berg. Lisa, Shannon, wherever you are out there too. Ian, thank you very much. And I'll start with my thank yous first, okay. Maria, thank you for supporting me all these years. I met her when I was working the weekend overnight shift. Why would, she's stuck with me and she must think I'm worth it, so thank you. I love you very much, thank you. I have to say thank you to my two kids, Kai and Maya. They're not kids anymore, they've grown up. A lot of you saw them like that tall and they hate it when you say, I saw you when that tall, but I used to tell them, Dad has to go to work, and I know that sucked. But I appreciate your patience, and I am very proud of both of you, and I thank you very much. I also want to thank my Seattle Channel family, my King 5 family, and my actual family, my brother and sister. Thank you for coming tonight. This is such an amazing honor, and I'm not used to being up here. And so, I thought, Talking Heads video. Okay, well, how did I get here? So, to me, it came down to these two quotes that I've carried with me for a very long time. And the first was from my mom, who said, I hope you have kids just like you. It's all in the tone, right? But for me, I didn't take it as a curse, right? I took it differently because as a single parent, it meant that I had to work nights, weekends, overnights, just so that I could be the only dad at co-op preschool, just so that I could be the one to take them to school or pick them up from school, take them to their activities, their sports or whatever. It was, I had to do what I had to do. And ultimately, having kids just like me meant that I had to leave the daily grind of TV news. It just didn't work out anymore. And I was so fortunate enough to land with the city, and it was a great job, but they needed me. And so I kind of had to be home, and the grind of TV news just wasn't working out. And I would like to believe that my mom's words changed the course of my life and changed the course of their life too. The second quote, which is what you saw from my friend Lynette, she founded this organization called Illumination, which is an all-volunteer group of photographers who take pictures of terminally ill infants or newborns. And, she said, you should always try and give more than you take. And I am standing here because a lot of people gave me something without ever knowing how it would affect me or ever expect anything in return. And, there was a particularly low point in my life where I had no other choice to take what people were giving me. And, for example, my friend Lisa Chin. Lisa paid me a ridiculous amount of money to walk her dog just so I could pay my bills and put food on the table. And then my King family. They gathered roughly $3,000 in cash and gift cards at one point so that I could pay my mortgage and put food on the table. And I remember, Alyssa Hahn, I worked with her, and she handed me this envelope, and she just said, shut up and take it. What can I do? But it doesn't have to be that complicated or expensive. It could be as simple as answering the phone. Right? Yeah. Or it could be, being the most positive person in the room. Right, Diane? Dragging everyone with you. Or, Norm Ohashi, if you're watching, that's you too. Or giving yourself to a cause greater than you. Right, Jesse? Yeah. Or mentoring those coming behind us because we have wisdom that they can use. Right, Alan? Yeah. Or just being the person who listens without judgment. Right, Maria? Be the rabbit. We are all blessed with gifts that we can give others, and, you know, what do we do with gifts? We give it away. So, you know, give more than you take, and if you have the chance, please, you know. You never know what kind of impact you're going to have on people, but it may be small to you, but it could be huge to someone else. So anyways, as I said to my kids, I'm going to stop babbling now. Thank you. Thank you.
The blitz is on over the middle to Jesse Jones.
What's special about Jesse Jones is his commitment.
Breaks one tackle, breaks two.
The work that he does, his focus, his passion for his craft and for the people that he helps.
Gets outside, continues down the far sideline.
Especially when you run into roadblocks within your profession, to stay, to keep learning.
As blockers cut back in.
I mean, he's the pride of Montana State, the Bobcats, of course.
He's inbound, gets another block, down the sidelines of 15 to 10.
I did not know Jesse Jones could run 80 yards, by the way, but he made it to the end zone.
I've known Jesse for 30 years. I mean, I knew him in Baltimore.
The man known as John Doe was on his way to work when he was pulled over by 2 Frederick County deputies.
He was a competitor in Baltimore at WMAR, and I was at WJZ. And I liked his stuff a lot. And I knew he had, you know, consumer potential.
Like he had for the past
a lot of personality. He was a big player. And when I got to King, I tried to get Jesse to come to King. But he was in the process of adopting his daughter. And so I held the job open for a year almost. And then when he was able to leave, we did the deal.
We all knew when he arrived that he was something special. Jesse just had a charisma, and he had a way with people. And I think what I respect most about him is the way he gives people a voice and a sense of
for most seniors, the only
being heard.
Way to get to a bank is by foot.
Jesse Jones, it'll blow you away.
Jesse Jones, Jesse Jones, Jesse Jones.
I had a lot of people come up to me and say, you got to get him to stop doing that. That makes us look stupid.
Jesse Jones.
And I said, oh, okay, I'll talk to him. And I went to Jesse and said, you keep doing that. Because,
Jesse Jones,
you know, you remember it.
I'm Jesse Jones.
Oh, Jesse. Jesse has been a part of so many stages of my life. And for me, that is one of the first things that makes him special.
He's an African-American male working in the business of television, in a business that has not always been that kind, certainly not to African-American males and not to African-Americans, period. But you can't tell that. He still does the job, he still does his best job, and he still makes an amazing difference in the lives of the people he helps.
And day in and day out, Jesse is always trying to make this a better community for everybody. Change things, bust some heads, open up things and expose the wrongdoing.
The Silver Circle is not just for distinguished journalism. The Silver Circle is for community service.
You know, it's a minimum of 25 years with outstanding contributions to our community. Who better than Jesse?
Hell yeah, he deserves to be in the Silver Circle.
And he will go in for the touchdown. Jesse Jones.
Part of the magic of Jesse is that he makes you feel like you're his best friend, even when he's coming after you. Like, come on, go ahead, expose me. He's got that magic touch. Seattle's longstanding consumer advocate needs very little introduction. Jesse Jones, God, I love saying that, is a name we all recognize, partly for, of course, that unforgettable sign-off, but more for the impact and change he has brought to our region. It's hard to remember a time he wasn't in the Seattle market. Jesse's consumer advocacy at KIRO has expanded his reach beyond the region by being part of a national corporate consumer team. His work has brought about policy change on a variety of levels and made a lasting positive impact on consumers across the country. Jesse's inscription reads, "Decades of dedication to investigative journalism has made a lasting impact, by challenging the powerful, giving voice to the powerless, and making our communities healthier and stronger. Jesse, you inspire us all to dig deeper, think harder, and demand more. Congratulations. Welcome to the Silver Circle. What a hug! That's the way I like it.
Anybody's producing me, I'm telling you, I'm going long. Thank you, NATAS, for letting a guy like me in a club like this. Thank you, first of all, to my family at KIRO, my people at King, truly my heart, and going way back to KSTW. Let me tell you a quick story. You saw Pat Costello, he was a news director. I arrive in Seattle after a stellar career in Cincinnati. I walked into the King 5 newsroom and I knew, damn, I'm good. I'm about to prove it to the one station. I'm a Tacoma boy. To the one station I loved as a kid. First week, do a story. I'm working with Ken Jones, another Silver Circle inductee. And I'm like, man, this story's good. Man, it's so good. Let me watch that again. Watch it. Now I sit back in the live truck watching the 5 for King 5 News, and I'm like, man, I'm about to blow this market up. Susanna Frame is the lead. She broke some story where she's chasing some well-deserving bureaucrat down a hallway. She messed up, she had the goods, she had all the goods. Have to admit, pretty good story. Ain't nothing wrong with being the second best story in the market. I think Farley was up next, breaking some news about Boeing. I'm like, wow, 2 things you'll never get from me: concise and super informative reporting. Now I'm third. You can figure out the rest. Next, Gary Chittum, the best environmental reporter ever. He wrestled a bear, chased down a wolf, all while changing state and fish game policy in the same damn story, and did it in 1:30. I look at my watch, it's 5:20. I'm up at 5:45. I'm like, damn. Making matters worse, a blizzard is brewing. Jim Foreman is live at the pass, ready to parachute into the show with a hot cup of coffee and going to throw it at a cold pole, then jump in front of a moving semi so he can climb on the hood to get the perfect soundbite from a very frightened driver about the storm. Jim was the storm. And now I realize my Kitsap County crime drama is really about a 15%er on Rotten Tomatoes. So how am I gonna make this work? I decide, I got an idea. Do my story, Ken's doing the live shot, and I decide I'm just gonna let people know who I am. And at the end of this really, really bad episode of Dateline that was about 40 seconds too long, I say, Jesse Jones, King 5 News. Ken, I swear, here's what you did. Ken's been everywhere. Battlefields, he's been everywhere. And here's what Ken did. He's seen everything, and Ken just went. So, after reporting the 9th best story in the 5 o'clock, totally forgot that Linda Byron was breaking a story at 6:30. Stayed up to 11 hoping I beat somebody. I decided that I was going to get each and every one of you back. And I did that by stealing from you and copying your traits. I ripped off the tireless work habits from people like Chris Ingalls, from others like photographer Dave White, my man Randy Ing, and Brad Booker. They taught me patience, even though I wasn't about that. Pat Costello, the news director at King, I learned leadership. He would never get into the weeds or minutia of the story. He really trusted you to get it done. But at the end, there would be a point, and you saw Pat, but Pat really like intense cat. And he'd come up to you and he'd be like, Jesse, is it fair and is it right? And the first time he said it to me, I was like, I don't know. But, you know, he gave you a sense of pride in your work, and he would challenge you. And you knew if you got through his gauntlet, your story was good. And he's the reason I was at King. I thank him for waiting for me. Linda Byron, attention to detail. All of the details matter, and never skimp on them. Susanna Frame taught me persistence. Sometimes you need to sleep overnight under your desk in a velour tracksuit to get the job done. Bert, empathy. You really have to show that you care. And being talented is not enough. You have to be a great person too. Thank you for that. More to learn at KIRO, running to Essex Porter. Essex is like Tiger Woods in golf. You're never really conquering the game, but somehow he found a way to do it. His career was the confluence of preparation, skill, and class. Deborah Horn, pure energy with experience. She's 100 all the time. And thank you for the video. 100 all the time. If it's Thanksgiving and she's working and you're part of her story and in your house, you're gonna smell turkey and hear her knocking at your door. I'm gonna wrap up here. There's Katie McDowell. Katie, photog and road dog. She's tough, and I love her toughness. She will die on that hill, the hill of your choosing. And she might take 3 or 4 others out with you. Feisty, loyal, a great friend, and super talented. There's Amber Benson, my first work wife and conciliary. She's the first person to pick a fight with me, and she's also the first person to defend me. If you need someone to have your back at all times, it's Amber. I am forever grateful for not just our relationship, our work relationship, nominating me, all of this. Amber, thank you so much. I want to thank my mama, who taught me to be comfortable in front of people. And my dad, who was also an investigator, teach me that, hey, every once in a while, you got to jam somebody up. I want to thank my talented daughter, Sydney, who is one of the best writers I know. She taught me not to take my career, in fact, any of this, so seriously. In fact, a lot of times people come up to me and want to take pictures and be like, man, can I take a picture with you? I'm like, fine. And Sydney decided she'd be like photobombing people. I said, go ahead, girl. You go ahead. And finally, I want to thank my wife, Kim. She's dealt with the cancer-stricken husband who followed that up with a quadruple bypass. There's not a better wife, partner, or mother. She is kind and thoughtful, and she's a fighter. As tough of a person as I've ever known. I would not be here, figuratively and literally, without you. She's only made one questionable decision in her life, and that was marrying me. Thank you. Thank you.
This is CNN's Daybreak with Kathy Marshall and Patrick Greenlaw.
I'm Kathy Marshall at the CNN Center in Atlanta. And we have more perspective on what is happening in Los Angeles right now. The effects of the nationwide rail shutdown are spreading. Today, Robinson faced a judge. We're developing pathways that will give you access to information beyond what you'd expect from any other local television station. For Consumer Watch, I'm Kathy Marshall. Kathy Marshall, KGW News Channel 8. I'm Kathy Marshall. Kathy Marshall, News Channel 21.
What can I say about Kathy Marshall? I call it the Kathy Marshall experiment, and I say so with all the love in the world.
You probably know that early detection and prompt treatment are key factors.
What can't you do in a newsroom? You can anchor, you can report, you can produce, and now you're running an entire newsroom.
When I started at KGW as a photographer, you helped me dive headfirst into the world of one-man banding, or I guess you shoved me into the deep end. That might be a better way to put it.
When Cathy was here at KGW, she was an anchor's anchor. We all admired her.
Her genuine love and appreciation for the profession she's in, you really do have to like what you do, and it's very obvious that she does.
This is your debut.
Kathy. Oh
Going
my gosh.
in deep.
Just
Check out
showing
Kathy
that
Marshall.
Woo.
So there I was in the middle of a weathercast. We had a snowstorm going on. Traffic was terrible, and I'm talking live on air, and suddenly I just get plastered by this snowball. Totally surprised by it. I look to the side, and I just got hit with a snowball. Oh, Kathy Marshall just absolutely pummeled me. And I look over, and there's Kathy Marshall grinning like a Cheshire cat with a tin of snow. She's a good shot. She's quite the athlete. She's a great athlete and an even better news anchor, and one of my favorite people that I ever worked with because she was fun, but honest and genuine and just great at what she does. That was awesome.
She also has incredible leadership skills.
Having somebody like Kathy that takes mentorship as second nature is huge for us here. You knew exactly what kind of coaching I needed, and you never sugarcoated any of it, which I really appreciated.
And you won't find a better ambassador for the state of Oregon, especially her alma mater, Oregon State.
It's not lost on anyone that she is an Oregon State Beaver.
Go Bees!
Betty busting the move here on the sideline. I love it.
Kathy Marshall, you are a superstar, and KTVZ in Bend is so lucky to have you as their news director, helping guide a whole new generation of journalists.
She's made this a better place by just coming here every day and gracing us with her presence.
Kathy Marshall, congratulations. I am so proud of you.
I also hope that you're proud of the way you've enriched so many other careers along the way.
We are so proud of you, and congratulations.
Back to the studio.
You are the best, my friend. That is the best thing I think I've ever seen a news anchor do.
Heels are soggy.
When you take a look at that video, those clips span nearly 4 decades and 4 Northwest TV markets. What an impact. At the start of her career, Kathy was a health reporter and anchor at King 5. On the health beat, she covered the early stages of the AIDS epidemic. In between storytelling, Kathy always prioritized community, dedicating time to her local children's hospital, events at OSU, and emceeing countless fundraisers for nonprofits like the American Diabetes Association and Legacy Health. While she has held a wide range of positions in a wide range of markets, Kathy is currently in her smallest market, but I'm gonna say her favorite. She gets to shape the next generation of journalists by showing them how it's done. Kathy's inscription reads, "For an exemplary career modeling the journalism profession, as with all you have touched, News Channel 21 cherishes your contributions to community and your unending dedication to journalism. Your admirable brand of mentorship comes with high standards to better your craft." Congratulations on this path you have traveled so well. And a little wet, apparently. Welcome to the Silver Circle. Amazing. Yes, absolutely, darling.
Yeah, I put on the big heels tonight, and I kind of regretted it. You know, they always said, don't correct anybody, but Essex Porter's in the room. And Essex Porter, I was at KIRO, not King 5. I just have to say, I'm sorry. Essex Porter, because I was the anchor who used to say, Essex Porter reports, it just doesn't make sense. That's a tongue twister waiting to be tripped over. Anyway, Roberta, thank you so much for your most generous remarks. I appreciate that. I would have killed to work at King 5. I had to settle for KGW. Anyway. But I love KGW. Pat Doors, Kurt Austin, you're in the house. Love KGW. But coming to Seattle in my 20s, I knew who the market leader was. It was King 5, just saying. But I went to KIRO, Essex Porter, great tradition. Anyway, I do have to clarify. I'm just not some weird anchor who runs into fountains and throws snowballs. Both of those were dares. And Matt Zaffino, our weather forecaster, meteorologist, chief meteorologist at KGW, he knew how to dare and how to get me to take the dare. So to run into the fountain, I had to run 5 blocks downtown during a commercial break. And the producer's in my ear saying, you're never gonna make it, you're never gonna make it. Anyway, so much fun. Thank you. I am honored, I am humbled, I am very emotional tonight, so thank you for this tremendous recognition. You know, it forces you to think back about how you got here, and it takes me back, way back, when I was 10 years old and my parents gave me a tape recorder for Christmas. The gift would turn out to last a lifetime, really. My initial household investigations of who snores louder, Grampy or Grammy, or who stole my brother Greg's candy bar, or calling play-by-play on my 3 younger brothers' wrestling matches. They all had names, which I will not reveal now, but one of them was involving a lot of pulling up of shorts. Chip, pull 'em up, Ripples, Willoughby. But anyway, that was just a taste of things to come, really. Years later, after a college professor at Oregon State, Dan Sand, well, he gave me the gift of really good advice. He called me in after my Intro to Broadcasting course and told me to try out for the KBVR campus newscast. I said, Dan, I'm too shy. He said, only 3 will show up. You'll be the anchor, 1 will be the weather guy, 1 will do sports, and that's exactly what happened. A few years later, when I had graduated and got my first job at KMTR in Eugene, Dan called after my first 11 p.m. broadcast. I filled in for an anchor who stormed out in an egotistical huff one night. I'd never read off a teleprompter before, and Dan knew it because he called the newsroom, and the producer came in and said, a college professor says he's on the phone for you. I went and he said, Cathy, don't be afraid to blink when you read the teleprompter. And I realized I hadn't in 30 minutes. So, you know, as we see tonight, college professors make a huge difference. You know, us broadcasting types, as I think back tonight, we aren't generally numbers people, which is why we go to the creative side, right? But I had to do a little thinking, and I did count those 9 TV stations, 16 news directors at least 18 co-anchors, all of whom I learned greatly from. So about now, you're asking yourself, Cathy, could you not hold a job? Crazy, right? This business took you everywhere. I so admire you folks who got to spend a whole career in one station. But I have to say, my time on the East Coast at CNN, in Boston, in New Haven, Connecticut, all taught me how much I love the Northwest and how much I needed to come back, which I eventually did. And when it comes to the number of interviews, I have to say, you know, I can't even venture a guess. There were the celebrities, Dolly Parton, Mr. Rogers, exactly as you'd expect. Tom Cruise, surprisingly charming. Eddie Murphy, surprisingly serious and boring. Harrison Ford, surprisingly aloof. Heartbreaker for me, because he was my favorite at the time. But Liam Neeson, oh boy, what a man. But even more memorable are those folks you have never heard of. And one I met as a very young reporter in my very early days right here in Seattle when I was covering the health beat for KIRO, not King 5. His name was Stefan Morsch, and he came from Germany. for a stem cell transplant. And we did not hear much about that procedure at that time as a way to treat leukemia. And Stefan and his family knew that, and they decided that they would share their story with KIRO TV so that the community and the world could eventually learn about Stefan's struggle. And they arranged through German television to have my reports air, dubbed on German TV, so that his story was shared in that country as well. Stefan eventually died of pneumonia, and I kind of lost track. But a few years ago, through the glory of Facebook, I heard from his sister, who informed me that they had started a foundation in his name, and they had signed up 500,000 donors for stem cell transplants through his foundation. And then later, I met Jason in Boston, who had developed AIDS in utero from his mother. He was attending a camp called Safe Haven for children with AIDS. It was on the verge of closing because they didn't have the funding. Jason agreed to share his story for weeks and then months. He often showed me the fistful of pills that he had to take every day to survive. And he said things like, "Cathy, I'm just like any other kid. I just happen to have AIDS. I like to do all the same things." Jason eventually lost his battle, but not before a viewer seeing his story, who had a brother who had died of AIDS, donated the funding to keep Safe Haven open. To my fellow inductees, I know you all have similar experiences, and I know a night like this brings them up. And so I am so honored to be included in your company in the Silver Circle class. I'm grateful to the selection committee, to KTVZ General Manager Ron Perotti for the nomination, and Tyson B., the News Channel 21 only photographer extraordinaire at the station, for the video. And to my 4 children who are here tonight, Hillary, Sean, Griffin, and Brody, each born in a different television market. New Haven, Atlanta, Boston, and then Portland. Don't worry, there won't be a Bend edition. Thank you for putting up with the crazy hours and for all the stories I'd say, "Why can't you be like him?" Time and time again, and for the late pickups at school, and just for putting up sometimes with the embarrassment of having a mother in television. I know it had to happen. There's one story that sticks with me so much, is when my daughter was 3 years old. She's now 35. I came home and the babysitter said, "Hillary kept going behind the TV." And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Looking for the rest of Mommy." I just want you to know, Hillary, that you've always had 100% of me. I hope you know that. It may have been in fits and starts, and we'll talk about it later. But that's what this career does. It gives you these wonderful opportunities, but there are sacrifices along the way. And I want my children to know how much I appreciated that. And to my husband as well, to the canceled dates, to the missed Super Bowl parties, because you had to be at the station with me, and for the drives in the snow, because I still, even after living in Boston and Bend, can't drive myself to work in the snow. And finally, to my mom and dad, who raised 7 children and taught us all to find a passion. I'm so grateful that I still feel the same excitement at work today as I did as that 10-year-old pushing those play and record buttons. Thank you so much.
Long before Rich Marriott began his career at King 5, he was forecasting the weather and avalanche danger in the mountains as a Forest Service meteorologist. Rich and his friend Mark Moore co-founded the Northwest Avalanche Center in the 1970s. And during the summers, Rich worked for the University of Washington and ran this research facility on Blue Glacier, where he measured glacial motion and melting snow in the Olympics. That's where longtime weatherman at KIRO, Harry Wappler, interviewed Rich one summer.
Rich, what's the purpose of your research here on Blue Glacier?
Well, we're trying to relate the historical record that's left by the glacier.
It was Harry who helped Rich start his TV broadcasting career, encouraging him to put together a tape for an audition.
But now we've developed a band of clouds, and you can see the moisture moving in up from the south.
In 1987, Rich made his on-air debut at King TV.
So head on into it. Yeah, I have a few concerns about putting a face with a forecast after all these years. I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful about what I say, but at least we started.
Don Varyu hired Rich for the job, even though he had no experience in TV news.
When I was hiring people for King 5 News, I had two top priorities. I wanted people with knowledge, and I wanted people with authenticity. And Rich, you cleared both of those hurdles with ease.
We have kind of a chilly morning around western Washington. In fact,
forecasting the weather on TV was never part of Rich's plans when he graduated from UCLA with degrees in physics and meteorology.
When you think back to college, I'm sure that nobody really expected that you'd be able to do this. And in fact, I heard your professors say that you were least likely to be able to hold a job.
Well, the cold front moved through this morning, and now
But his deep knowledge of science and weather forecasting is what gained the trust of viewers.
So your shirt is off. Oh, it is off one. Well, you know, people have been telling me that for years anyway. Rich, you're off a button.
His wit and self-deprecating humor made him relatable, helping morning viewers wake up with a smile. In his 36 years, Rich has flown with the Blue Angels and climbed Mount Rainier to raise money for the American Lung Association's Climb for Clean Air. He's wrestled with sumo wrestlers and emceed countless events.
I'm excited to watch you four play pickleball.
One thing is for certain.
Let's do it.
Which side is the front?
No matter what he's doing, Rich is always having fun.
Yes.
Because when you work somewhere for more than 3 decades, your coworkers become lifelong friends.
The explosive cranberry soda.
I have admired you from the very start. You've taught us so much, me in particular, about raising the bar, about what it means to be part of the legacy that is King 5, about professionalism, mostly about friendship.
You know, out in the real world, people are always like, what do they really like? I'm like, that man is exactly who you see. Love you, Richard. One button off, that's okay. Like you better that way. You have to be truly someone special to make your TV debut in the Seattle market. This is where he started, and for King 5. Now the senior meteorologist, Rich Marriott, never seems to slow down and is still waking up viewers with the same enthusiasm in 2024 that he did in the late 80s. It's how viewers have trusted Rich to prepare them not only for what's to come, but why it's happening. People always count on Rich to give them a better understanding of the climate and of weather. When you don't see Rich on King 5 in the mornings, you can usually find him emceeing a community event. He's also a big supporter of Northwest Harvest, the American Heart Association. Rich serves as a mentor to Raisback Aviation High School, specializing in STEM education. He's also a proud father. His 11-year-old son submitted Rich's biography for our Emmy Award program. And Rich's inscription is a poem written by a dear friend, Mark Moore, co-founder of the Northwest Avalanche Center. He's shaking his head here. And the inscription reads, for almost 4 decades, the forecasts at King TV, with close to 50 years in the Great Northwest, when it comes to predicting sun, rain, grapple, or snow, you are still the best. Your insight, wit, and humor make us all smile, and you make waking up in the mornings so worthwhile. Welcome to the Silver Circle, Rich.
Thank you. I had big plans for tonight. I wrote something up several weeks ago for NATAS, and I was going to kind of fine-tune it, but the pace of life, and then I came down to today. This afternoon, I was going to go through, clean it up, work on it. Then my 11-year-old started throwing up at school, came home, trying to get ready to come to the event. We have friends and family coming over and still throwing up. And we're remodeling the master bath, and they're sawing tile. It was just like chaos this afternoon. So I didn't get a lot of work on this. And following the other group here, first of all, I have to say, I am really, really honored to be inducted with the group of people I'm with tonight across the Pacific Northwest. It gives me chills just to talk about that. And not being primarily a television person in many ways, I feel incredibly honored and not really, I appreciate the honor, I really do, but sometimes I am so impressed by the people I work with and the people I see in this industry and the difference that they make. And every day I'm just really impressed to see the quality of the work that's done in a really difficult and changing environment over the three and a half decades that I've been doing this. So now I'll see if I can salvage what I had from my talk. Because one of the things I really wanted to do, I've had a lot of, 3 careers in right at this point. I think I'm not going to get to the 4th. I'm not going to be get to the 4th. I just wanted to thank all the people, because it's really about the people. I would not be here tonight without the people who have helped me out, supported me, loved me, and stayed with me through all the years. And first, and I was glad to hear other people do that. Thank my mom and dad, who've both been gone for about almost a half a century now. But growing up, they just really honored my curiosity. My dad built me a freezer in the garage. He was a grocer. He built a freezer in the garage that I could make clouds in for a cloud seeding science project. Actually made it snow in this thing. It was pretty amazing. He built me an observatory, the top term for my telescope, on roller skates. And then my mom, she took me everywhere. Great places, like we go to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena. And then one time, she took me to a slaughterhouse and to get a quart of cow's blood, because I was doing a science project on preserving red blood cells. And that wasn't the worst part of it. Then it sat in our refrigerator for a month in a glass jar. She finally had to cover it with aluminum foil. She couldn't take it anymore. They really, really honored my curiosity. And I've had that through my whole life. The people that are with me honor that. My professor at the university at UCLA, I was there for over 8 years, not just trying to get bachelor's, but undergrad and grad. And I was involved in actually working in the Earth's upper atmosphere meteorology, which is what we call space weather today, remarkably timely for that. But during that time there, I got interested in snow and ice, so I changed careers. But in the process, I came to Seattle to present my very first scientific paper at a conference, and I met my first wife, Cindy, who unfortunately has passed. And I have to thank her in so many ways. She put up with 3 career changes, moving to LA, back to Seattle, back to LA. And, finally I was working for the Avalanche Center and ended up being drafted into doing television. It was really amazing how it changed. And she put up with all of that, including, I was working as a glaciologist during the summer times. And our oldest son, who's here tonight and survived this, he was 6 weeks old. We put him on a helicopter, flew him in to live on a glacier for the first summer of his life. No running water, no electricity, frozen diapers, and she made it through it all. He survived, which was good as well. And I have to give a big thanks to both of my children, because they suffered through the same thing with both my television career and my Avalanche Center career of missed holidays, playing in the snow when it snowed in Seattle days, because it was always in the station for that, and a lot of the things that you do miss. I really appreciate you guys putting up with that, understanding most of the time, and all the adventures we had, especially in the mountains, and the occasional angry goat that we ran into, if you recall, there in England that one time. To thank a few other people, I have to really thank my poet, my friend, my really good buddy, Mark Moore. He was my partner and mentor when I was at the University of Washington for 3 more years of college, to developing the Northwest Avalanche Center. And he taught me a great deal, which I'm very thankful for. And we learned a lot together, and somehow we survived it. We didn't die. And we weren't incarcerated. Also, a very, very, very lucky. And a special my loving gratitude to my wife. Now, she she puts up with my curiosity too, listens to my boring talks about things she has absolutely no interest in whatsoever. And also, I met her at King. She was the morning director, so she was in my ear. So another benefit of working at King was it worked out well. And of course, my youngest son, Nicholas, who is hopefully not throwing up at home now. Hopefully that's better. But he keeps me young and keeps me up to date on games and science in lots of times. And one of the other people I really have to say thank you to is Harry Wappler, because I never thought about doing television. And I was working in the National Weather Service office, and the weather forecasters used to come in every day. This was back when the Weather Service was on Lake Union. The 3 stations shared a Polaroid camera that the 3 weather people came in to take a black and white picture of the black and white still photo satellite picture, and that's what was shown on TV that night. So, yeah, so we got to know each other. I met Harry almost 50 years ago. And he just made the absurd suggestion to me, you ought to think about doing TV. And then he got me an interview at King. And then absurdly, Don Varyu hired me. And I think it was because I worked really cheaply at that point. And the thing was is that they gave me a 4-month contract because they had no idea what I was going to do. And he left me a note for my first day. It was really nice. It's not brain surgery, da-da. And then it says, don't worry, it takes about 6 months to get used to this and make it work. I'm going, is this gonna last? You just don't know. I also really want to thank all the people I worked with at King over the many, many years. Again, I admire them so much. They do such a great job. Everybody in this industry does a great job, given the attitude that we get from the public so much of the time. And I think it's just remarkable what a great job they do on a daily basis. And I appreciate all the people that I work with at King, all the people that are in this business and go out there and do it. Because as you've heard from listening to much more articulate people than myself tonight, we really do make a difference on a daily basis. And we have the superpower oftentimes of making people happy just by being there, which is really, it's a marvelous thing to have. And last but not least, I have to thank all the viewers over the years that have invited me into their home, who I hear all the time, I'm in bed when I'm watching you most of the time. Okay, that's good. Glad to hear that. But I appreciate their inviting me into their homes. And thank you all very much. I appreciate NATAS and all the work that goes into putting on this event. And I have to say that I like working off ad-lib much better than working off a script. So thank you.
They got to take on Davis next week. They got some victories in a row.
This is where it all began, Alan. October 19th, 1985, when we teamed up to announce the first ever San Francisco State Gator football game live on Cable 35.
Back in 1987, I was the news director at KTVZ, and we had an opening for a reporter, one of the smallest markets in the country, and we wound up hiring him. Alan has called me every year on the anniversary of hiring him to say thank you for giving him his career. I think he earned the career on his own.
Wow. The first time I saw you on air, I'm thinking to myself, well, he's not going to last long, and it wasn't that you were getting fired. You were just going to move on up.
Alan, how are things holding up?
Hi, Lynn. There is plenty of damage to talk about.
Man, you had patience, except when you couldn't find a pen or pencil, the basic tools of our trade, and when we didn't pull out a map and know where you're writing about.
Parachutes and engines do not always work the way they are expected to function.
He was the reporter that all the photographers clamored to work with. Wrote to your video, made your stuff look better than it actually was a lot of the time.
Good evening again from Greece. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Schauffler, and this is Tegucigalpa, Honduras.
Alan, you were so great to work with those many years at King. You would go anywhere, do anything, try any new idea to get the story.
You were great at everything you did. Writer, reporter, anchor, but it was the Olympics where you really shined.
China throws a spectacular party and welcomes the world.
Alan and I covered many stories for King 5, but none were so satisfying and fun as the Olympics.
You built relationships with the athletes, the coaches, and their families.
Thank you so much for helping me share my story to inspire other young women.
You've done a fantastic job of representing the Northwest region over the years.
You're a true expert at how you call the Olympics.
And for the 2010 Olympics, you made it so special for JR and for our family.
You involved yourself in their passion and their grind.
I've never had blades like this on. Crossover. Crossover.
Alan Schauffler is going to the games, and you're invited to tag along.
Al Jazeera's Alan Schauffler is live from British Columbia.
Virtual lives at stake. Yeah, a lot of pressure in this seat.
When we launched Al Jazeera America, there was only one person I could think of to head up our Seattle operation.
Yeah, interesting political event here, John.
Our driver, Quanelli Patshaw, took us on a South African road trip.
I am a fearless explorer. Absolutely.
Alan, New York wants us live in 5.
Well, I got the best and definitely got the DiGero.
Do you have the camera?
Thank you for teaching us so much while working together in Bend. You are a great journalist and an even better person.
You've always been an amazing storyteller with a kind heart, but you also know how to ask all of those tough questions, and you pass that along to us as well.
Can't remember when I've had a better day in broadcasting.
I'm really glad to see that Alan's past is catching up to him and he's finally getting what he deserves.
Congratulations, Alan, on your induction into the Silver Circle.
It was an honor working beside you.
Alan? Yeah, he's okay.
Alan, congratulations on an exceptional career.
Here's to you, Alan.
Alan Schauffler has been a familiar face to people here in Seattle, the mustache. He also bookended his career in Bend, starting in Bend and now finishing there. His niche of covering local athletes headed for the Olympics Games always made for endearing TV. Alan covered 7 Olympic Games across the globe during his career, and his colleagues will say he always treated people with kindness and respect. And I know we see Alan on the air, but what you don't know is inside the newsroom, he kept the bar high. And every once in a while, the whole news staff would get an email correcting our grammar. Or maybe a phrase. Mine was, the house was completely destroyed in the fire. Roberta, Bert, if it's destroyed, it's already complete. Right here, Alan. Kept it all these years. Really grateful for that leadership in the newsroom when sometimes we didn't have it. You were the one we went to, so thank you. Here's Alan's inscription. It reads, for setting the standard of excellence in Northwest journalism while leading, teaching, mentoring, and inspiring a generation of journalists. You remind us words matter. A map does more than just get you where you are going. And never forget about Bill and Betty Fensky. Please join me in welcoming Alan to explain that.
Wow. I have to follow all of that? Jesse Jones, Kathy Marshall, Rich Marriott, I've got to follow that. Wow. This has already been an extraordinary evening, a really wild night. My sisters and brother-in-law and nephew parachuted in to surprise me to be here. Thank you so much for doing that. My wife arranged all of that, all the parachuting. I even received an Alvin Schosner bobblehead doll, 1993 version, complete with glasses, brown hair, and a mustache from Randy Eng. Thank you, Randy. Fortunately, for about the first time in the last 20 years, I've managed to write short and concise tonight. So, to end up the evening, you're gonna have to listen for about another 2 minutes and 14 seconds. I want to extend a big thank you, of course, to members of NATAS Northwest, all of you who have put this together and for noticing me, my work, and for including me in the Silver Circle. Thank you as well to field producer, bureau chief, podcast producer, and all-around cat wrangler extraordinaire, Kristen Frazier, for nominating me and doing all the work that entails, and to Extreme Jose Cedeno for helping with the edit. My Venezuelan brother. My biggest thanks, though, go to my wife and life partner, Cynthia. Without your love, your support, remarkable flexibility and adaptability, none of this 35-year run through the news jungle would have been possible. I spend a lot of time in front of the camera, but I've always believed that broadcast news is a team sport. And I've been lucky to work with so many talented and so many dedicated teammates over the years. Assignment editors, writers, producers, directors, board ops, webmasters, you engineering wizards in master control, even news directors who had my back, and the GMs who had theirs. Daily news can also be a daily battle, and I need to emphasize this tonight. My appreciation of and love for the photographers, videographers, photojournalists, MMJs, whatever you want to call yourself, in the past and today. You must understand that I understand you're the infantry in this army. The stories don't get told, the deadlines don't get met without you. And I'm so proud and so honored to have marched with you in that daily battle for so many years. As for co-anchors, this is tough, but here goes, and I hope I haven't left anyone out. Thank you, Lynn, Jeanette, Marianne, Susanna, Julie, Carolyn, Lori, Lisa, Jean, Joyce, Shannon, Margaret, Samantha, Emily, Heather, Genevieve, and of course, Rob and Alan. It was a pleasure sitting at your elbow and having you there to clean up all my on-air gaffes. Advertisers and you members of the sales and marketing forces, thank you for embracing the product and for keeping the news segments from crashing into each other on the air. Bill and Betty Fensky, thank you for always being out there in the fictional news viewing universe down there in Kent and keeping me focused on what I said and how I said it. Finally, it's just a real treat to be included in this group of honorees, quite a remarkable group of people, and I'm absolutely honored to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
So please, please help me welcome and thank all of our new inductees. 1 to the gold, 8 to the silver. Welcome and congratulations. Well done. Well done. I want to thank Chapter President Greg, Executive Director Diane, Awards Committee co-chairs Robin and Sarah, the magic behind all of this, our 2024 panel of Circle judges, the Board of Governors, and the talented team at NATAS Northwest who made this event happen tonight. And thanks to all of you for coming here and celebrating. And good luck to all of you for the Emmys tomorrow. So have a great night. Thank you.